They say going home feels safe. Familiar, comforting, not for me. 4. Me going back to my dad's house at 32. Broke, single, and emotionally wrecked. Felt like surrender. My relationship had ended 3 weeks ago. My apartment lease was up. My savings were running thin. So here I was back in my childhood bedroom, surrounded by faded posters and a dresser that still smelled faintly of high school cologne. What I didn't expect was him. The shower was running. When I got up that morning, I figured it was Dad. I stumbled into the kitchen to make coffee, shirtless, yawning brain still half asleep. Then I heard the bathroom door open behind me. I turned, and everything inside me froze. Jasper, my dad's best friend, a towel hung low on his hips, hair damp, drops of water sliding down his chest, tracing over inked muscle and tight skin like they had all the time in the world. He paused when he saw me. "Oh," he said, voice low and calm, "didn't think you were up." Yet I couldn't speak. My mouth went dry. I just nodded. He was nothing like I remembered. I hadn't seen him in maybe 6 years, not since my mid-20s. Back then, he was always Uncle Jasper, the older guy with the strong handshake and dad jokes. Now he didn't look like an uncle. He looked like temptation, wrapped in nothing but a towel. He smirked as he walked into the kitchen, casual, like his entire chest wasn't on display. "Coffee smells good," he said, grabbing a mug. "Still take it black." I blinked. "You remember that?" He turned, leaned against the counter and sipped slowly. His eyes stayed locked on mine. "You think I forgot everything about you, Ethan?" That shouldn't have made my stomach flip, but it did. I glanced away, trying to steady my breath. He chuckled. "You okay?" "I'm fine," I lied. But I wasn't fine, not at all, because my dad's best friend had just walked out of the shower looking like every forbidden thought I tried to bury, and now I couldn't stop noticing how his towel clung to his hips. He moved past me, the air warm from his skin. Scent of cedarwood aftershave followed him, sharp and clean, and I nearly groaned. This wasn't happening. I wasn't supposed to notice him. He was off limits, but something in the way his eyes lingered a second too long, the way his lips curled when I fumbled the coffee pot, the way he stood just a little too close. It didn't feel off limits. It felt dangerous, deliberate. And when his fingers brushed mine as he handed me the sugar spoon, something lit up inside me that hadn't sparked in months. Desire. Real. Immediate. We sat at the table. He told me he was in town for a few weeks. His house was being renovated. Dad had offered him the guest room, of course. Fate had shoved me under the same roof as this man right when I was at my weakest. "I always liked this place," he said, glancing around. "A lot of memories here." I nodded, sipping my coffee, trying to calm the storm behind my ribs. But his eyes never left me. "You've changed," he said finally. "Good or bad?" His smile was slow, knowing both. The way he said it, low, suggestive, made something ache in me. He stood, stretching, arms lifting above his head, abs tightening. The towel slipped just enough to make me forget how to breathe. Then he winked. "See you around, Ethan," and just like that he walked away, leaving the scent of heat and the hum of something dangerous behind. My body remembered what it wanted, 6 ft of muscle, tattoos, trouble, but I couldn't let that happen, could I? I tried to avoid him, I really did. I told myself it was just a moment, a reaction to seeing a hot guy fresh from the shower, a towel, a body, a scent. Nothing more. I repeated it until the phrase tasted hollow. The next evening, I went downstairs for water and shorts in a tank and found him again, this time shirtless in the living room, stretching on a yoga mat like it belonged to him. He glanced up and smiled, casual. "Didn't mean to steal your spot." I stood frozen. "It's fine," the mat squeaked beneath his palms as he leaned into a deep stretch, muscles rippling under his skin, tattoos along his shoulder flexed with each movement. His jogger sat low, hinting at the V-cut that could make anyone forget their morals. I watched. Too long, way too long. When I looked up, he was already watching me. He held my gaze slow, intense, like a director, daring me to say the thing I wasn't supposed to say. My stomach nodded. Join me, he asked, suddenly patting the mat beside him. My throat went dry. I hadn't done yoga in years. Doesn't matter, you're still flexible, right? That line hit me like lightning. I knew this wasn't casual teasing anymore. This was something else, something reckless. Inside me said yes. I stepped onto the mat, sat beside him, and tried to stretch. My arm brushed his, my knee touched his thigh. His body was warm. Too warm. You always tense up when someone touches you, he asked quietly. I glanced at him. I don't know, depends who it is. He smiled, eyes locked on mine. Fair. Then without warning he reached out and adjusted my posture. His fingers brushed my spine, light, deliberate. His palm pressed to my lower back. Here, he murmured, breathe into it. His hand stayed steady and sure. I felt like I'd been lit on fire. I looked up, barely breathing. He was already watching me. Our faces were close, too close. I could feel his breath, smell faint citrus on his skin, the warm heat rolling off him in waves. Something in his eyes shifted, a quick flicker of restraint, like a flame fighting to stay contained. Then his hand slid just a little lower. I didn't stop him. I should go to bed, I whispered. His voice dropped low and slow. Should you? The way he said it didn't ask for an answer so much as offer a dare. I stood up quickly, trying to play it off, heart hammering so hard I thought it would crack my ribs. I made it to the stairs before he spoke again. Ethan, I stopped. His tone was calm but powerful, like he knew exactly what he was doing to me. I've seen the way you look at me, he said. He let it hang in the air like a secret I hadn't admitted. I turned halfway down the stairs, unable to meet his eyes. I'm not saying it's a problem, he continued. I'm just saying I see it. My pulse filled my ears. He smiled faintly. I'll see you tomorrow, he said softly, then picked up his towel, slung it over his shoulder, and walked past me like nothing had happened. But everything had. That night I couldn't sleep, not with the image of his hand on my back, not with the memory of his eyes, dark and full of something unspoken, and not with the sudden realization that he'd wanted me to keep looking. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, trying to calm the fire building in my chest. In my head I kept replaying his touch, the way he said my name. He didn't see me as a kid anymore. He saw me as a man he might actually want. The next morning I came down to the kitchen, still in a daze, shirtless, hair a mess, the summer air sticking to my skin. I wasn't thinking clearly. I was just hopping. He wasn't there. He was leaning casually against the counter, sipping coffee in nothing but gray sweatpants that left little to the imagination. He raised an eyebrow. Rough night, I blinked. Yeah, couldn't sleep. He gave a small knowing smile. Same. Then he glanced down very obviously. You sleep like that? I looked at myself. My tank hung off one shoulder. I wasn't wearing underwear. My face burned. Didn't realize anyone was up, I muttered, turning toward the fridge. He didn't answer right away. He walked past me, slow and steady, brushing against my back again. That same touch, that same heat. Some things are hard to ignore, he said, voice low. I froze. I didn't know if he meant my clothes or something else entirely. I turned slowly. He was standing far too close. That look again, like he was reading my thoughts, like he already knew what I wanted and was waiting for me to admit it. But I didn't have to say a word before he said, you've been looking at me like you want something, Ethan, but you haven't asked. My lips parted. I couldn't breathe, my whole body buzzed. What if I do? I whispered. He leaned in, his mouth hovered dangerously close, his eyes slid down slowly, tracing my chest, the outline beneath my shorts. His voice dropped. Then you better be sure, because I'm not the kind of man who holds back once you ask. My knees nearly gave out. His words were heavy, tension and warning braided together. My heart hammered. I've never done anything like this, I confessed. Barely audible, his gaze softened a fraction. Then let me show you. The air between us pulsed like electricity. He reached up slowly and touched my throat with two fingers trailing down my neck as if memorizing it. The touch was light, intentional, a map. I let out a shuddering breath, and for the first time since this began, I didn't pull away. You're tense, he said. I wonder why, I muttered, trying to joke, but he moved closer until our bodies nearly touched, and I felt the full weight of him, solid, close, larger than I'd expected. His voice dropped to a low growl. You're not going to be able to take it all at once. My eyes widened. I couldn't believe he'd said that, but my body betrayed me. I wanted to fire something clever back, to pretend I wasn't affected, but instead my answer came small and hungry. Try me. We didn't kiss, and not yet. Something electric passed between us. Instead, unspoken, raw, when he stepped back just enough to let me breathe. There was no smirk, no cocky line. He simply said, tonight my room door open. If you walk in, I'll take that as your answer. Then he left the kitchen like nothing had happened, like he hadn't just crossed a line, but everything had changed. The heat between my legs, the ache in my chest. I was already craving more. All day I told myself I wouldn't go. I paced, overthought, buried myself in pointless chores. The house was quieter than usual. Every sound seemed louder. His words looped in my head. My room door open. Was it a test, an invitation? Deep down, I knew I'd decided hours ago, just after 10:00, when the house was dark and the night cicadas hummed. I stepped out, barefoot, and walked down the hall. His door stood open, light warm and dim from a single lamp. He sat on the bed, with his back to me, shirtless, shoulders still glistening from a shower. Soft jazz hummed from his phone. He didn't turn, but he knew I was there. I swallowed. He looked over his shoulder, rose slow, deliberate. His eyes found mine as he walked to the door. Click. It closed. Click. It locked. The sound echoed down my spine. You came, he said quietly. I nodded. I don't know what I'm doing. That's okay, he replied, stepping closer. You won't be doing the work tonight. Nerves and heat tangled in my chest. I bit my bottom lip. He moved behind me, not touching, just close enough for his breath to warm my neck. You've been craving this, he said. I could tell the first day we met. I didn't know what it was then, I admitted. He leaned in, his lips brushed the shell of my ear. It felt like hunger, honest and immediate. You've waited long enough, he murmured. His hand slid to my waist, fingers tracing my side before drawing me flush against him. That's when I felt him, the pressure of him, the awareness of someone strong and sure. My breath hitched. I don't know if I can. I began. His palm pressed over my heart, steady and warm. You don't have to take all of it at once, he said, voice smooth and steady. But by the end of tonight you'll want more. The words landed like a promise. The air pulsed around us. He moved his hands slowly, not rough, just deliberate, mapping my skin with light touches that set me owl. I tried to ground myself, but when he leaned in and whispered, trust me, I felt the last of my restraint melt. I exhaled a shaky laugh, and for the first time since this began, I didn't pull away. I turned to face him and saw hunger in his eyes, not just desire, but something deeper, protective, possessive. He leaned down and finally kissed me. The world stilled. His lips were firm, guiding mine, his hand cupped the back of my neck drawing me inward, until I melted against him. His touch was measured, patient, like he had all the time in the world to learn every curve of me. I hadn't realized how much I needed this, not only the contact but the fierce feeling of being wanted. He sat on the edge of the bed and pulled me into his lap, body pressing warm and steady beneath me. Let me learn every part of you, he murmured, voice husky, slowly, deeply, until you're not just mine but addicted. I shivered into him. His hands moved beneath my shirt, mapping my skin with deliberate care. You're trembling, he whispered, and I haven't even given you half of me yet. His words teased, but they carried a promise that made me want to fall into him and never come up for air. I buried my face against his shoulder and breathed out a shaky laugh. He traced my jaw and brushed his lips along it, half grin, half vow. Don't worry, he said, I'll make sure you feel every inch of what you've been craving. The way he moved was maddening, not hurried but purposeful, deep, measured, slow enough to make the ache stretch out, strong enough to make me tremble, and careful enough to leave me wanting more. After each tender press and soft whisper, my body hummed with energy. Every touch felt as if it was rewiring me, each quiet breath against my skin, every low murmur at my ear, every small grounding hold reassuring me that I was seen. Say it, he urged, lips grazing my cheek. Tell me what you want. My mouth was dry, my thoughts scattered, but I found the words. I want more, I managed. Please don't stop, he smiled, slow and secretive. You're already caught, he murmured deliberately, slowing, savoring the moment, and I've barely begun. He found that place that made my body respond without thought. I gasped louder than I expected and then gave in entirely. Do it again, I whispered, and he did again and again, until my name felt like the only word I could say. Please, I begged, half plea, half prayer. He steadied me with a hand at my wrist and a voice low and dominant, but never cruel. You sound beautiful when you ask, he said. You're taking this so well. I looked up at him, dazed. For years, he admitted, his smirk softening. Then he kissed me again, sealing that confession with something like a promise. I wanted you the first night I met you. I waited until you were ready, until you wanted it the way I do. That line hit me harder than anything. This wasn't just desire. It had a possessive edge, something that claimed as much as it wanted. The way he moved was deliberate, close, and every motion made it clear I wasn't just a passing thing to him. He wasn't casual. He was staking a claim. He eased back for a moment, and I wed at the sudden emptiness, heart hollowing out in my chest. Before I could say anything, he turned me gently and pulled me so my hips rose. I want to feel you from every angle, he murmured, voice low, and I want you to feel how deep this goes. When he moved again, it felt different, fuller, all-consuming. I gasped. My body tightened and let go in the same breath. He held me steady and set a rhythm that made the bed tremble under us. Each movement stole my breath. Each time he hit that one place, I cried out, toes curling and everything inside me folding into the moment. In that space, nothing else mattered, not hesitation, not consequence. It felt like everything had been arranged to bring us here. Say it, he urged, voice rough behind me. Say what. I managed. Say you're mine. My throat closed, saying it was huge. It anchored something I hadn't wanted to admit even to myself, but he didn't wait. He pressed harder, hands firm at my waist, and the force of it broke the last of my restraint. I'm yours, I breathed louder than I'd planned. I'm yours. Once the words were out, the room seemed to fall into place. We didn't stop, not after the first time, not after the next. He drew me deeper into the moment, and I surrendered again and again, shameless and aching because I wanted only him. His kisses were Everywhere not frantic but intense, as if he were trying to press our history into the present. He kissed not just my lips but my doubts and my fears away, as if each touch were a promise. When his hands moved with certainty beneath my clothing, my breath hitched. He paused, lips ghosting mine. "You okay?" he whispered. I nodded, dizzy and raw. "I just can't believe this is happening," I admitted. He smiled, not arrogant, tender. He kissed the corner of my mouth. "It's happening," he said softly, "and I won't stop unless you ask me to." Hearing him use a word so intimate for me made something inside me flip. He lowered me gently onto the mattress. The sheets were warm where he'd been. I lay back, lungs burning, heart racing. He hovered, eyes mapping me like a secret he intended to keep. Then he moved to undress me slowly, and I saw the effect I had on him, a softened look, a quiet hunger that was almost reverent. He murmured, "You've been aching for this." I answered, breathless, "I don't even know what I was aching for." He smiled, not mocking but certain. "You will." When he revealed himself, the sight shocked me, larger than I'd imagined and unapologetically real. My throat went dry. He chuckled low, the sound of promise and a warning. "Told you," he said, "you're not going to take it all at once." I swallowed against the surge of everything and let him lead. The rest of the night blurred into measured motions and whispered confessions, each one reaffirming that this wasn't a casual thing between two people. This was a claim, a permission, a pair of hearts deciding finally to move as one. "I want to try." His eyes darkened with need, then he moved between my legs, spreading them slowly and gently, as if opening me to something new. His hands slid down my thighs, steady, warm, intentional. "Breathe," he whispered. I tried, my lungs burned, a mix of nerves and want. He breathed with me, guiding, patient. When he pressed forward, I felt a deep, overwhelming closeness, sensation that took my breath and made me clutch the sheets. It was more than physical, it felt like being split open and remade in the same instant. He held still for a heartbeat, letting me adjust, then moved with a slow, deliberate rhythm that made the bed shift under us. Each motion stole my breath. Every time he found that place, my body answered, voice breaking into sounds I hadn't meant to make. In that small, fierce space between us, nothing else existed. It wasn't a mistake. It was what had been building for weeks, finally arriving. "Say it," he breathed, rough and low. "Say what?" I managed. "Say you're mine." The words felt huge, terrifying and true all at once. I hesitated, not because I didn't mean it, but because admitting it anchored me a way I hadn't expected. He didn't wait for me to weigh it. He drew me harder into the moment. The force of it broke my last restraint. "I'm yours," I said, louder than I intended. "I'm yours." Once I said it, everything tilted into place. We didn't stop, not after the first time, not after the second. He moved with a measured urgency, not rough but owning. I gave myself to it, shameless and desperate, craving only him. His kisses were everywhere, not frantic but intense, as if he were pressing our history and hope into the present. He kissed away doubts and wrapped each touch in the promise of something more. When his hands moved with certain purpose beneath my clothing, my breath caught. He paused, lips just brushing mine. "You okay?" he murmured. I nodded, dizzy and spent. "I can't believe this is real," I whispered. He smiled, gentle and sure, and kissed the corner of my mouth. "It's real," he said, "and I won't stop unless you ask me to." Hearing that small tenderness, the way he said my name, made something inside me flip. He eased me onto the mattress. The sheets were warm where he'd been. I lay back, chest heaving, sensing how everything had quietly changed. He hovered over me, eyes mapping me like a secret he intended to keep. When he undressed me slowly, I saw the soft gravity of him, not just desire but reverence. He murmured, "You've been wanting this." I answered breathless, "I don't even know what I wanted." He smiled, certain you will. When he revealed himself, it was larger, realer than I'd pictured, and jarring. My throat went dry. He chuckled, low, half warning, half promise. "Told you," he said, "you're not going to take it all at once." I swallowed against the rush and let him lead. The night blurred into a rhythm of measured moves, whispered confessions, and small promises, each one folding us closer together. I wasn't just responding to touch, I was falling for him, for the way he held me, for the way he named me when he claimed me. After he lay beside me, arm across my chest, skin still warm, I stared at the ceiling, my body buzzing from what had happened and from what it meant. This wasn't just physical, it was surrender and arrival. Both. "I don't think I can go back to normal after this," I whispered, voice raw. He laughed softly and kissed my temple. "You weren't made for normal," he said, "and neither was I." I turned to look at him. His gaze held something that wanted and needed me, and for the first time it was not merely appetite, it was something that felt like belonging. "What happens now?" I asked, "with us?" He paused before he could answer. The front door slammed, we both startled. He looked at me. "You said you were alone tonight," he said. I reached for my shorts, breath catching. He wasn't supposed to be back. Then we heard it. The sound that made the blood in my ears go cold. Footsteps, heavy and fast, pounded down the hallway. Panic hit me like a wave. Jasper scrambled for his pants, moving with the clumsy urgency of someone trying to disappear. I yanked the sheets up around me just as the bedroom door slammed open. There, frozen in the doorway, was my father. He stared at me, at Jasper, at the pile of clothes scattered across the floor, his mouth open then closed. "Dad," I started, standing up too fast, heart lodged in my throat. "You're sleeping with him." His voice was low and cold, like something inside him had fractured. "My best friend." The silence that followed was brutal. Jasper stepped forward, calm, steady. "I didn't plan this," he said, voice firm, "but it's real. I care about your son deeply." My father shook his head, still stunned. "You're twice his age." "I know," Jasper replied, "and you were supposed to be like an uncle to him." He paused, then added quietly, "That's not what I am, not anymore." My father's gaze burned into me. "Is this what you want?" he asked. "Do you really want him?" Everything inside me felt exposed, naked in a way I'd never known. But I looked at Jasper, strong, unwavering, someone who'd stand up to the world for me. I knew. "Yes," I said, "I want him. He wants me." This wasn't a fling, it never was. My dad's jaw tightened. "You're my son." My voice cracked. "He's the first man who's ever made me feel seen." I couldn't stop. Words tumbled out. He didn't force anything. He waited. He respected me. He made me feel wanted, loved. When I said the last word, it landed in the room like a match against dry wood. My father didn't yell. He didn't curse. He just looked at Jasper and said, "You better not hurt him." Jasper nodded. "Once, never." Then, as suddenly as it began, the pressure broke. My father turned and walked out. He didn't slam the door. He didn't storm away. It would take time. But he hadn't walked away for good. Later that night, when things had settled, Jasper and I sat on the porch. The stars were sharp above us. My head rested on his shoulder. His hand rested on my thigh. "You changed me," I said softly. "That first time you touched me, I felt like I belonged to someone for the first time." He turned, eyes deep with something close to reverence. "You don't belong to me," he said, voice rough with feeling. "You're a part of me now." I bit my lip, even though I was younger, even though people would stare. Jasper smiled. "Let them," he said. "I'll hold your hand anyway." I leaned into him. "Then hold it forever." He did. 1 year later, Jasper and I moved in together just outside the city. My dad Came around, it wasn't instant or easy. But he began to see how happy I was. Last month we hosted dinner for the first time as a little family. My dad even brought dessert. Jasper grilled steaks. I made the playlist. He held my hand the whole night. When the guests left, he carried me to bed just like that first night. Thanks for watching.